intéressant. Okay, let's welcome the group from Alberta.
There are strange things done in the western sun by the men who drill for oil. Those Alberta trails have their secret tales. It would make most men recoil. Those western lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was when 17 pals, both guys and gals, were sent to Alberta by His Excellency. Howdy, Your Excellency, Madam Chair. Welcome to our campfire. We're here on the Ggclc Nation, First Nations territory, Blackfoot Crossing. Just over yonder was where the Treaty 7 was signed, a historical place in 1877. We came out here in Alberta, and what we found was a province rich in natural resources. From agriculture to lumber to, oh yeah, oil and gas. What's going on out here in Alberta is nothing short of a boom. They're building and expanding faster than anywhere else in Canada, if not the world. But what you have to ask yourself is it sustainable?
Energy is foundational to civilization and prosperity, and Alberta has a whole lot of energy. With that, we can invest in our education, our talent, our human capacity to innovate. And through innovation, we can create truly sustainable communities.
Écoutez, la prospérité économique de l'Alberta génère des retombées économiques déterminantes pour l'ensemble de l'économie canadienne, en termes de création d'emplois, évidemment, en termes d'injection de capitaux étrangers, notamment. Et nous devrions tous être conscients de cette réalité-là. Mais une croissance aussi importante, aussi rapide, aussi fulgurante, amène nécessairement des risques importants et des conséquences. Des risques, premièrement, au niveau de la dépendance économique. Quand une société, quand une communauté se développe autour d'une seule industrie, à savoir dans le cas ici l'industrie énergétique, elle devient dépendante. Peut-être fragile, peut-être vulnérable. Une question importante à se poser. Deuxième risque, la nécessité d'adapter les infrastructures à la croissance très rapide. Dans le cas de l'Alberta, ce qu'on a réalisé, c'est qu'il y avait un défi important là, au niveau des infrastructures. Au niveau des conséquences maintenant, des retombées économiques pour tout le monde au Canada, oui, des conséquences aussi. Au niveau de la main-d'œuvre, évidemment, la création d'emplois très rémunérateurs a pour effet de drainer la main-d'œuvre qualifiée des autres provinces, des autres secteurs économiques ici. C'est difficile aujourd'hui de trouver des serveurs, des serveuses pour l'industrie touristique, par exemple. C'est difficile de trouver des gens qualifiés au niveau de l'industrie énergétique, peut-être dans d'autres provinces, parce qu'ils ont en Alberta. Alors là aussi, c'est un défi. Quand on parle de l'économie de l'Alberta, on parle nécessairement de l'industrie aussi des sables bitumineux, une industrie mal aimée, mal connue, qui gagnerait d'ailleurs à être connue. Peut-être garder en tête que c'est un levier économique, c'est un moteur économique, c'est une locomotive pour toute l'industrie canadienne. Tous les Canadiens, from coast to coast, devraient en être fiers, devraient en être conscients. Alors il y a un travail de sensibilisation à faire afin de pouvoir aider l'industrie et l'économie de l'Alberta à relever ces défis pour assurer le développement durable de toute la communauté canadienne. Donc des défis évidemment de réduction des impacts environnementaux, de continuer à réduire les impacts environnementaux, des défis de cohabitation, de collaboration avec les Premières Nations notamment, des défis de réinjection, de retombée dans la communauté et un grand défi de diversification économique et de valeur ajoutée.
Come a little closer to the fire, folks. I don't want you to catch a chill. So far on our tour in Alberta, we faced many questions. At each stop along our sleep-deprived journey, some of the most important being, where are we, what day is it, and where's the washroom? But once we solved those problems, and we were sure to cover our badges when we asked them, once we solved those questions, we came up with a slogan early on, and it was money in the system. And that's not a commentary, but it's just a fact in Alberta. And the money's coming from many sectors, but primarily oil and gas, through the tax base, the industrial tax base, back into municipalities, who are able to pay $135 million cash for beautiful recreation centers in Fort McMurray, to the thousands of infrastructure projects you see as you drive down the highways to make every part of the province more accessible. And also things like the Winsport facility, which is training our future Winter Olympic athletes and is now the home of Hockey Canada. This is a source of pride for years to come for all Canadians. The $1.2 billion hospital being built in Calgary, which will serve the entire province, probably the entire nation. These developments don't come without consequences for everyone, however, because, as we know, the labor shortage is nationwide, because you've got to staff those hospitals with doctors, so they'll be recruiting them from medical schools countrywide. Now, we question the sustainability of these kinds of investments based on an economy that has one large industry like oil and gas. As we know, resources that we once thought Canada would benefit from forever, like softwood lumber, often end with little or no notice. However, if oil and gas should not prove to be the 100-year resource that many anticipate, I'm confident that Albertans have the answer. Look at the people from Slave Lake. Indeed, look at Canadians throughout history. We've always had the answer. Work hard, have fun, and never give up.
You know, Mary Brown, this is a very innovative province. Look at the oil and gas industry.
Look at the oil and gas industry. I mean, over the years they've changed their system. Sometimes it's a result of wanting to save some money, and some of it is a result of environmental pressure. So they got a new system that uses way less water than they did in the past, but it's also taken one company 30 years to reclaim their first trailing pond.
Tu te souviens, Karen, lors de notre visite au centre de récupération à Ggclc, ils nous ont annoncé qu'ils voulaient recycler 90% des déchets commerciaux et résidentiels. Personnellement, j'ai trouvé ça vraiment formidable. Et par la suite, j'ai appris qu'ils sont obligés d'agir ainsi, puisqu'ils n'ont plus de place dans leur site d'entretien.
We realized there's a lot of environmental issues. With our busy schedule, we didn't have an opportunity to talk to any group. But one of the things we realized that, at least here in Canada, we have the opportunity to have the conversation.
You know, one of the things that I learned during our time in Alberta is that Contrary to popular belief, money doesn't actually grow on trees in Alberta. Rather, they've gotten to the enviable, prosperous state that they're in today because they've managed to take advantage of their best resources. When I say that, I'm not referring to what's in the ground, I'm referring to what's in their minds. What I really like about Albertans is their ability to see forward, to make investments today for the benefits of generations tomorrow and beyond. There's no finer example of this than in the oil sands. Decades ago, this industry was kickstarted by using a process of dragging a large bucket across the surface to gather the oil sands in that manner. Much the same way a child would do so playing with his bucket on a sandy beach. But Albertans realized that fully 80% of the vast oil sands resource is located deep beneath the surface. This has forced them to innovate, invest in new technologies and new ways of doing things. The most common technology that they use today is one known as steam-assisted gravity drainage technology, or as we members of Team Alberta now affectionately refer to it as, good old SAG-D. But we're not here to talk about the intricacies of all the advanced technologies that Albertans use to prosper. That's not our main takeaway. Our main takeaway is the knowledge that it's the ingenuity and innovation of Albertans that has paid huge dividends for that fine province, and in fact, for each and every one of us in this room today.
And it wasn't only the natural resources that are driving the economy. Some of the examples that we saw on key drivers that are driving innovation were passion and relationships. There were fine examples of this in Calgary when we visited with the local arts community. It was clear that passion was really driving that agenda forward. Now, they benefit from taking some lessons from the corporate side in terms of risk and reward philosophies, but it was really clear their passion is driving the creation of new operas, new ballets, and theater performances. The other area was relationships, and that was clear from the start. When we visited with Fort Mackay First Nation, north of Fort McMurray, they were able to utilize their geographic location to build relationships with oil sands companies and create the Fort Mackay group of companies. Now that's really driving their economic force of their community, but they've leveraged this even further by partnering with Sunport to create a business incubator to continue with their entrepreneurial spirit. Now this pilot is coming to an end, so it'll be interesting to see if this is a model that we can replicate to other communities.
Now, a common thing that comes up a lot out here is the labor shortage. Economic growth is so fast, we just can't keep up. We need an educated workforce to keep up. People here try to sustain this growth by providing quality education to its greatest resource, their kids. And in typical Albertan fashion, educators want to challenge the status quo. The status quo isn't good enough out here. They recognize that not all people learn the same way. So they flip certain traditional teaching methods on their head and innovate new ways to engage all students. According to the University of Calgary, Alberta has the country's only teaching quality standards to ensure educators provide the best they can to students. They also offer the only charter school system in all of Canada. They also recognize that technology and gadgets can be used as tools that foster learning, not just as distractions like Angry Birds. This is how future generations will learn. In fact, they're not afraid of e-learning at all. Some teachers think online classes can provide as good an educational experience as traditional classrooms. They actually build on online content instead of competing with it and use it in the classrooms today. These are all ways by which the province sustains its communities by nurturing its future leaders.
Just like education, the health and well-being of the community is a key ingredient for sustainability and also an indicator of the character and values of that community. As we traveled across this fine province, we had the privilege to hear about many initiatives to deliver holistic healthcare services and develop healthy public policy, as well as innovative partnerships between government, industry, and the not-for-profit sector. Alberta has resources, there's no question. Money in the system, if you will. That coupled with their culture of innovation They're poised to be leaders in addressing social inequalities and improving the health and well-being of their communities. Albertans are not afraid to take risks, challenge the status quo, and think big. We encourage all Albertans to evaluate their initiatives to explore what works, what doesn't, and why, so that these lessons learned can be adopted and applied across the diverse regions of Canada, so we can all benefit from Alberta's resources.
I came to Alberta with some preconceived notions. To be completely honest, I was always told that it was a redneck province. But then I came to Alberta, and what I witnessed was a Muslim mayor in Calgary, a Jewish mayor in Edmonton, a female premier, and I learned that the province had the first Aboriginal lieutenant governor. I also learned that 46% of Albertans weren't actually born in Alberta. What Mayor Nancy told us, and what hit home with me, was that in Alberta, if you roll up your sleeves and you work real hard, it doesn't matter who your daddy is. You may have noticed that we're all wearing pins with the number 3 on them. These represent Mayor Nenshie's 3 Things for Calgary campaign, whereby he solicited his community to all do 3 good things for Calgary. When we go home, we're all going to go do 3 good things for our community. What are your 3 things?
But we can't talk about Alberta's diverse population without mention of Alberta's First Peoples.
Yes, my fellow Aboriginals, the First Nations of Métis, we were lucky to see the culture and the land of Fort Mackay, Ggclc Nation, and Tsuut'ina. We were privileged to see where the Treaty 7 was signed in 1877 by the Great White Mother, Her Majesty the Queen of Canada. I was able to appreciate and understand how important the treaties were to the First Nations. It was amazing to sleep in the teepees, although I'm not sure how much sleep we all got with all that snoring that was going on.
Not much. But I was really struck by the character and especially the resilience of the communities we met with. They're willing to move forward, look beyond some terrible things that have happened in the past, and really look to the future. An example of this was the powwow we attended in celebration of the graduates from the University of Calgary. I was dazzled by the regalia, brilliant and colorful, the soulful singing and dancing and drumming, and the sense of pride in the community was obvious.
And the Sweat Lodge with our friend Hal Ggclc, the Sweat Lodge will remain a powerful memory for me, and it took me back to some very spiritual richness in our culture as Aboriginals.
Howdy. The fire's roaring today. And so is the economy in Alberta. It's a boom-bust resource economy. But you know, in the boom-bust cycles, a lot of people can be left behind. What we learned is often the booms are even worse than the busts. People travel to Alberta for that boom, to participate in it. The cost of living, cost of housing, leaves many falling through the cracks. But in typical Albertan style, they're not just sitting on their laurels. They're not just dealing with homelessness. They've made a pledge to eliminate homelessness in 10 years. The Calgary Homelessness Foundation, in their first 3 years, they've turned a corner. The numbers are going down. And our family had a very special time at a place called the Mustard Seed. The Mustard Seed is an innovative shelter where churches, corporate groups, community leaders combine to offer shelter, food, clothing, medical attention for as many as 300 every evening. We spent almost 5 hours with the staff and guests in the Mustard Seed, and that's going to remain with us for the rest of our lives. It was perhaps here, not in the boom times, not Fort Mac, that we were touched most. We learned that you just can't give money, you've got to give time. On a personal level, I used to think I was doing my part. I held a fundraiser for a shelter. But you know what? I'd never been in a shelter. We got to see the guests at the mustard seed, and we took away more from them than they did from us.
Now, in Alberta, and more specifically Calgary, they're famous for those 2 weeks in July. Calgary Stampede was started 100 years ago this year by the Big Four. And the purpose of it was to get ranchers and farmers to travel west. Well, that worked, and it's still working. It's not so much the ranchers and farmers, but we were glad to have some Alberta beef when we were there. The Stampede raises over 110, or generates $110 million every year. And a third of that revenue goes back into the community. It goes back into children's programs, youth programs, to taking care of Stampede Park. But what's more important is that they have over 2,500 volunteers who run the Stampede. Some of them have been doing this for over 30 years. Very dedicated group. And if you want to be a part of the board of directors for the Stampede, you have to earn it through your sweat and through your labor. 6 to 8 years of volunteering before you can have a chance. You can't buy your way into this club. They have a wonderful slogan for the Stampede, and Team Alberta thought it really fit us well too. Their slogan is, "We're greatest together." You may notice I'm holding a lobster. If you follow us on Twitter or on Facebook, Rocky has been very busy around the province. And he actually had his picture taken last night with His Excellency. And I'd like to acknowledge someone who made our time in Alberta a time that I want to go back and do again. We had an amazing regional coordinator. We had last-minute changes, I'm telling you. Every second of our day was filled. 6 a.m., 11, 12, 1. Well, that was my choice. But it was filled. Things were canceled and it was filled. You never would have known that the schedule had been changed. So I thought I'd be all right if later on tonight I pass Rocky on over to Corey. And that way we can all go back and visit her in Alberta and see our little friend too. Now it is National Lobster Day, everybody, so just let's not cook them today, thanks.
So we actually did a survey, pre and post-conference survey, what people thought of sustainability. And we were surprised to find out that there was a 400% increase in the level of comprehension of sustainability issues, initiatives, and strategies both in Canada and abroad. Well, what does this really mean? In conclusion to our presentation, we really found that Alberta is a province with incredible community. And it's through this community that is really built on strong relationships that is driving the innovation in Alberta. And it's through this innovation and their get-it-done attitude that enables them to really develop their energy resources. So in the end, it really is about human energy. That's what counts. So with our energy focus, the exchange of ideas and values, we can really establish and maintain a community built on strong relationships. Community is the foundation which Canadians live, innovate, and develop energy resources for the world, whether that's oil and gas or beef and agriculture. And as leaders, it's our job to build strong relationships in order to create sustainable communities.
Just before we go into our closing segment, we were asked by Rock Spence, the chairman of the Calgary Stampede, to extend an invitation to His Excellency to come out to the Calgary Stampede. But just in case you can't make it, because I know you have a busy schedule, he's provided a Calgary Stampede party in a box for you. one of the main purposes for this conference is for all of the people that participate and all of you to learn something and grow in your leadership capabilities. And it's our hope that in the years and the months and years to come, that we'll be able to take some of these lessons back for our own leadership journeys and be better people for it. There are strange things done in western sun by the men who drill for oil. Those Alberta trails have their secret tales that would make most men recoil. Those western lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was when 17 pals, both guys and gals, came together as a community.